A little time. Okay, so very good afternoon and good evening to all you little artists. So I would like to call you all artists today because it's the art session, and as teachers are going to turn ourselves into tiny little artists. And we welcome the entire class of Colorful Corner for expressing your own creativity, right? So this is Divya. I'm very excited. I'm not a good artist, but I'm going to give you and help you with all the art techniques that you're going to be using it in your preschool. Okay. So today we are going to see like what would be the step in your art exercises. And once you are working with children, art period, the art and craft period, the coloring periods, especially, these are going to be very fun for children, I could say. Children would scribble, children would scrabble, correct? And for each of the scribbles, what as teachers we need to understand is these are not the random scribbles or the random lines. It is the art of every student. That is something that we need to respect. When I have a toddler walking into my class, I give them a piece of paper. The first step of an art class begins that the child picks up the color pencil or a crayon or an oil pastel and they start to scribble. That is where the artist and the child and the art of that particular child's exercise begins. And that is also the first step, my dear teachers, where children learn how to draw. The better that they are able to draw, the better they are able to scribble and color, eventually you will notice those are the children who would pick up easily to write. When they start writing letters, when they know the formation of the letters, when they start connecting the dots and they know about the lines and strokes, you actually help them to write 2-letter words, 3-letter words, and then simple sentences and other things. And slowly, when the child is around like 5 years or 6 years, when the teacher asks them to draw something, and when the teacher asks them to write something, the child is able to imagine, the child is able to express their thoughts and then feelings in form of an art, in the form of writing. This is what we're going to explore and how these essential skills will build a founding or a foundational learning for our children. So what are we going to start today in the first part of our session? The first 40 minutes, we learn first exercise. The second 40 minutes of our class, we're going to do the second exercise. So we're going to cover 2 art exercises. I give you 3 days time to complete this exercise and you need to submit. Your assignments needs to be in a video format and the presentation of what you do it. I'll explain you about that as well. Okay, so we'll start for the first part. We understand what the scribbling is. We understand the different kinds of scribbling. Please make a note. We understand what the scribbling is. When we are talking about scribbling, you as a teacher should know why scribbling is important. I have a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, whatever it is. When a child is not doing it properly, you need to work on that particular thing. And how a controlled scribble can help your child to start writing like a pro. Okay, so I hope everybody has got crayons or oil pastels or color pencils with you. Everybody has it. I'm not going to start with your art. We're not going to touch our art book, but you should all have your notebook. I'm putting it onto the gallery mode. I want all of you to show me your notebook. I just wanted to clarify myself. Being as a teacher, you have books wherein you're writing. Okay, so you all have a book. For each of the exercise, we're going to use a fresh page. Okay, so no conjusi over there. We're going to take one exercise. We're going to do one art form in the first page. Then you go to the next page. After the class is over, I want you to sit back, think, recollect what we have learned about that exercise. And I want you to write your own notes. You don't have to submit it to me. It's for your own references. If you're a preschool teacher, this is the first lesson that we're going to be working. The second thing I want to clarify over here is like, do you have a pencil with you? If you don't have a pencil right next to you, I would give you a little time, go grab a pencil and come back. I would also want you to keep an object wherein you can make a perfect circle. You can go to your kitchen, grab a bowl or a glass, something which is circular in shape and come back. If you don't have color pencils or crayons, just go get it. Newcomer, if you have anything, it's okay. That should be fine. Yeah. Something circular. Okay. I want to begin with something simple and then we'll do a little complex exercises. Complex ones. Is everybody ready with that? Okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay. So good with that. And okay, let's go back to the original lessons. Okay. So I hope you have all grabbed your stationery. You have your pencil, you have your book, you have a crayon, and now you got to open up your imagination. We're going to get ready to move our hands and the hearts across the pages. The simple lines of whatever you're going to draw is going to be a masterpiece for a child. And this is what we're going to describe when we are working on a concept of scribbling. That's going to be a super first art in our art lesson. The first art lesson for all of us is scribbling, guys. We're going to do it in a plain piece of paper. But once this is completed in the class, you're going to sit down. You have to collect the real samples of children. That's the assignment that you're going to be pasting in your art album. If you don't have students, if you don't have children, okay, where you're closely connected with, take your own time. Leave that page, go to the second exercise. Whenever you meet children of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, please collect the art samples from them. Just give them a piece of paper and ask them to scribble something. That has to be an original piece of your art. Taking that is what you're going to explain in your art lesson. What is the kind of scribble? What was the pressure? What was the mode? What was a line? What is an indication? How many colors? Are there any intersections? Are there any different kinds of strokes? And all of that is what you're going to be elaborating. Okay, so we're good to go with the first lesson. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start with the presentation of how we do, what we do, why we do. Okay. Is everybody able to see my screen? Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this is the first thing. It's considered to be as a pre-writing skill. Look at the picture over there. This is the most iconic scene on the first day of school, right? In case if you have a
Yes.
toddler or a LKG or a LKG children will be real pretty good. But in case if you're allocated to a preschool child and you give them a box full of crayon, this is the typical kind of an artwork that you would be able to see. Do you notice that there are different kinds of strokes over here? Some zigzag, some straight lines, some curved lines, some continuous. Look at the pressure. Look at the red color crayon. It is got with so much of pressure. Look at the blue color one. It is of a light pressure. There's so much that we will be able to notice on all of that. This is what we have to be working towards. Okay. So when we start with something related to my scribbling, I have to say this is the earliest form of writing. That means I can give children to hold on to crayons right from the child is around 12 months, 18 months, till the child begins their preschool years. It's very critical. If you're not a teacher, if you're a mother of a young child, I would request all of you to start giving the children to scribble as early as 12 months. Why do we do that? It is a developmental milestone. The child learns how to hold a pencil. The child gets the grip of how to draw, how to lay an impression when they are marking something. That means there is a good amount of muscle memory. There's a fine motor skill that actually gets worked upon. Okay. So these are some of the advantages when you start early, and it is considered to be as one of the developmental milestones for your child's fine motor skills. Now, say, suppose in case if I start a little late after 18 months, when the child is coming into my preschool, the child is around 3 years, 4 years. If I teach them to scribble rightfully in a very good way, don't you think the handwriting of the child improves better? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
If I'm introducing good kind of
Yes,
an
ma'am.
artwork for a 4-year or a 5-year, and I ask them, can you draw a picture of yourself? I teach them how to draw a perfect circle, another perfect circle. I teach them how to draw lines so that, their hands and legs can be drawn that way. The child is able to express themselves in a good way. So these are some of the exercises you have to teach them right from day one. If I say A is for apple, the child should be able to imagine an apple and draw an apple. If I say B is for bat, you should also teach them to draw a bat, which is nothing but a combination of my lines and shapes. The child should be able to work on that. It is again a motor activity. At the same time, the child enjoys drawing. That's the first or the earliest form of writing. When I have to give scribbling to my child, I have to contribute it too as a teacher. Why? Emotionally, the child becomes happier when you give them art forms. Correct? cognitively the child becomes better, and the child's creative development is also getting improvised. So that's the reason all the preschoolers, no matter whichever preschool that you take, as a stepping stone, they give children to color. They ask the children to color as many coloring sheets as possible. At the beginning, they would just scribble. You wouldn't know because the child wouldn't have had the hand-eye coordination. What do you mean by hand-eye coordination? They should know where to color. Correct? In case if I don't have that coordination, it becomes difficult for the child also to color. That's the reason you will help them how to keep the paper and what distance that you're going to be looking at the paper and how to hold the color pencil and try to color it. So when the children have good hand-eye coordination, at the same time, if they have the finger strength, only then it promotes a good scribbling. What is the next thing as a teacher you need to observe? Is the child coloring in right hand? Is the child coloring in left hand? Okay. Which hand is the dominant hand helps me to work on the dexterity. Is my child left dexterous or my child right dexterous? We talk about the dexterity depending on a right-handed child and a left-handed child. If the teacher is unable to identify this, for 5 days, ma'am, the child is using right hand. The 5 days, the child is using left hand. How do I differentiate? Give them any other activity. Give them something which is harder for them to open. Give a heavy object for them to carry. If the child uses right hand as a dominant hand, that means the child is a right-handed child. So you can encourage them to write in right hand. If they're using the left hand, that means that the child is a left dominant. So you can encourage them to draw using their left hand. So this becomes the importance of scribbling for all of us to work on this. So these are some of the samples that you will have to collect. See, every sample is what is being done by the children of TBPS. So we have collected some of the samples. This is all what the teachers have submitted it to me itself. Look at the scribbles there. There are lines, there are strokes, there are multiple colors, there are uneven lines, there are patterns, a lot of things that actually tells a lot of story. Now, before we understand into the different forms of scribbling, I want you to write down, are there types of scribbling? So we divide our scribbling into 4 main stages. Very important, please note down. This is divided into 4 main stages. The first kind of scribbling, whenever you work with very young toddlers, 1 to 2 years, whatever they draw is unintentional, right? They don't know because the movement that they're having is uncontrolled. The arm to the shoulder movement, they use larger spaces. The movements are really large. So because of that, even if you give them a small paper, the child uses a large hand movements. Correct? You might be saying, color it in a small space, but the child is not able to do that because the shoulder to arm movement itself is very large. They can't have that fine motor skills wherever the children are 1 to 2 years. So that's the reason you are trying now to create the awareness about the space, the awareness of the direction. So these children will not have that awareness, oh, I have to color it inside only. I have to color it from this direction to this direction only. They don't have that. When children are coloring it in that way, you will categorize them into random scribblers. Okay, this kind of scribbling is called the random scribbling. Now, what as a teacher you do it? Many of the children will fall under random scribbling part of it. Now, when they come to preschools, okay, this is random scribbling. Now, you will put the children into controlled scribbling. What is controlled scribbling? As a teacher, you will say, children, how much of space you have to move? Okay, so you're giving them a control. Okay, you will not color so fast, but you will control your hand movements. When I'm saying you should have a better hand and the wrist movement, that means my movements are becoming controlled. So, and I will say either you do right to left or top to bottom. You choose. Okay, so the teacher would also go. So when I'm saying the first entire picture, we're going to do right to left coloring. Right to left, again I come back right to left, again I come back right to left. So don't you think that there is a repetitiveness in the pattern of what I'm trying to do? This is what we're going to do in the first. Yes. So I want you to take the first page and scribble randomly whatever you want. That's the first kind. I'll give you 30 seconds. Please scribble and we're going to show it to you. 30 seconds. Tell it is a random scribbling. So what you can do is like take a circle, draw a circle, and just do a random scribble. Your scribble should go out of paper. And it can have any kind of stroke, circles, lines, zigzag patterns, anything. Has somebody completed it? I'm putting you on gallery mode. If you've completed, yes. And write the heading, it's random scribble. Okay. Now look at there. In your Chandrakala, it is still showing as a controlled scribble only, random. Arpita, that is not random, dear. It is repetitive. Because it is gone everything like this. When I say random, it should be something like this. How do I say? Arpita, that's not random. It is repetitive. Yes. Shamli, you're right. I'm trying to add you on the spotlight. Can you please show it too? Yes. Can you show? Go back a little. Yeah. Take it up a little. Take it up a little. Yes. So these are random scribbles. So it can go with however you want. Divya Shri is also I'm trying to add. This is also random, but see, it has got so much of a pattern. A young child wouldn't think so much. So I would still not consider this Divya's pattern because it is so calculatively done. Let me see how Vani's is. Vani's is all circular. Did you notice that there are circular movements? Can children do something like this? Not possible. A 1 to 2-year-old would not do it. So we can't consider this also. Okay. Now let me take Vani's. Let me add on to it. Okay. This I will not be able to take that. I want a proper scribble. Let's take Anjali's. Anjali, show. Anjali, you need to remove your backdrop. Until you remove the backdrop, I will take up another student. Gayatri, yes, dear. Gayatri, I can't see. Your image is blurred.
Remove the blur.
Samya?
Take it out now.
No, let's see. Yeah, one more time. Chandrakala, okay? Okay, yes. Can you see now? This is perfect. Okay. And even Swarnalata goes a little perfect. This is how a toddler can actually scribble. And the possibility could be multicoloring. Now, did you notice that most of you, like even Shahida, she has also taken one color. This is very true because many children don't have that thought processing that they have to use multiple colors. Even if you give them the 10 colors, unless and until they are not introduced to using variations in the colors, they only pick up one color. You can notice that particular thing also. Now, these would all be your observations whenever you're working with young toddlers. What is the kind of a scribble that the children are doing? What was the first color that they actually picked? How much of pressure that they are applying? Are they holding the pencil in the rightful way? Do they hold the crayon in the correct way? That's the first thing that we're going to be working on. Before you introduce scribbling, I just would like to share with you what is the kind of pattern that you're going to be using for children to introduce. Okay, so we're going to be working on the holding of the pencil. This is very, very important to us to work on that. Okay.
Only in random scribbling, the children will use all their fingers, 5 fingers, so that the circular kind of crayons will help, ma'am, for this one.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Just wanted to bring this to your notice. What we were going to be working is like, see, the teacher might give them multiple colors, right? The random colors, you have kept them. What we are intentional over here is like, maybe I don't want to give them a box full of crayons. I might give them only like 4 or 5, the choice of colors that is planned up for the classes. You're going to arrange everything and you're going to be keeping it. So the intention for us is like to scribble. So you can give them an unruled paper or a sheet so that, the child gets the entire canvas where they're able to scribble. Now, did you notice we haven't given any shape? You're just going to give them a piece of paper. Now, what is the next thing that we're going to be working is on our finger grip. Now, how many fingers that we need to use is the next important thing. Children will have hard grip. They might hold the crayon like this with all the fingers. But you have to educate them that we don't need all the fingers to hold the crayon. It's only your thumb, your forefinger, and your middle finger. These are the 3 fingers. You're going to help them to work on how do you hold a crayon or a color pencil or an oil pastel. And the second important thing is like when we move the paper, did you notice when I move the paper is moving. I have no control. So you need to educate the child to put a pressure, your other hand onto the paper before they start coloring. These are the two important things, especially the playgroup teachers will have to do it. And you let the children scribble however they want it. In your exercise, the first one, when you're pasting that small piece of paper in your art album, the random scribbling name has to be written. And you can cut 4 kinds of papers. One for random scribbling, one for the other kind of scribbling, controlled scribbling, and then the other types of scribbling. And you have to do it exactly that way. That's the reason I told you, give it to a toddler itself, let them scribble in that piece of paper. You can cut that and you can paste it. So it will look very natural to you. If you don't have that opportunity, I want you to do it in this way. The scribble should have almost all of that. Now you might be wondering why this kind of scribbles are important. As I mentioned earlier, every scribble marks a story, right? It's very essential. So as a teacher, you should get excited even when your children are coloring this way. Okay? Got it, teachers? You can't be having a face like that. But as a teacher, you have to show your excitement that your child did an amazing job. That's the first booster that we're going to be working. You can say you did an amazing job. From there, we go to our second thing. Okay? From there, we go back to our second lesson, wherein we talk about a controlled scribble, wherein we are going to have repetitiveness, we are going to have patterns, and we are going to see the intentional movements. Now the teacher is going to show them the intentional movement. Now, as a teacher, I want my children, everybody to color horizontal lines only. So what I can do here is like, I give them the shape. Okay. What do I do here? We can work with giving them the shape. Probably I'll give them a circular shape. Now I want my entire children to actually use any kind of a color. Maybe I go with a yellow color because that's my favorite. So I have used a basic shape circle. Now I choose from right to left. So my intentional thing is right to left. Then I go left to right to left, left to right to left, left to right. Maybe I am going a little outside, but look at my pattern. It is repetitive. I might not color the entire thing, but my pattern is being a little bit more controlled. Agree, everybody? This has to be your second exercise, wherein you're working on the controlled motion of your right to left movements, which has got an intentional movement for me. It has got a rhythm and it has got a sense of design, very much close to a proper coloring. Now, this you have to do it. Okay, so please make it. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. Once you're done with that, you again go back to another image. You can take back another color of your own choice. You do a top-down approach. You can work with the top-down. So now you are introducing the children to actually work on this kind of a repetition. Okay, one is horizontal, one is vertical. Now see, the children are actually going a little above, but still the fine motor development is really good. It is actually happening good. Much better, much good control. This is the second one that you do. Okay. Now we are done with this particular thing. Then again, what do? We take another one. We go with the slantings. We go with the diagonal lines. Probably I can take another color, right? So always choose different colors. These are all your assignments. The first one. Now you choose diagonal lines. Can go this way. Look at it. It's not that difficult for a child, but the child will have to use their hand and eye coordination, hand and the wrist muscles. Everything is being so coordinated very well. Okay?
Okay, good. Yes.
Completed? Okay. Now coming back to the assignment part of it. What your assignment is going to be here is, you will take a tray. You will keep 4 to 5 color pencils. You will have to keep a plain paper this way. And you're going to be recording. Is everybody with me? I'm going to give you the list of exercises, what each one is going to do. Where am I? Can you see my screen, everyone? Yeah. So this is the first step that we're going to be working. Can you all see the screen, guys? No?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you see this screen? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So your video would start with this. So in a tray, you're going to keep a piece of paper and you're going to keep some 4-5 crayons. And before that itself, you can have this preparation of the random scribbles as a first video. The second one I'm going to give you is a controlled one, wherein you're going to have the same exercise on the controlled scribble, but it is going to give you on the circular pattern. The first important thing what you have to work is on the sensitizing of your the object, what you are trying to trace. Okay, so let me introduce over here. So you bring the object and you are educating the children that we are having an object and we're going to circle, we're going to color within this. That means the area is being restricted. So the coloring has to be inside that itself. Once you educated the child to be in that. So this is the space that the children will have to color. As a teacher, you can actually educate them. The second thing what you're going to tell is about what is the color that you want the child to color. Now, say suppose if the teacher says, I want you to color green, but you still create confusion for children. I can give an orange, I can give brown, I can give pink, I can give blue, but the child will have to only choose a green color. That choice is also now, the child doesn't have freedom to take whatever it is, but the teacher says, you got to use a green color and I want you to color inside, and you're giving them to color the top-down approach. This is what you're going to do in your assignment. Clear, everyone? Okay. The third thing is on the horizontal line, then on the diagonal line. These are the 4 exercises. It has to be a 1-minute video. You can just record it, share. Now the recording, how are you going to do it? Is it going to be this way? No, you're going to record it horizontally because it will go onto your record. So there's a separate channel wherein you will submit all your assignments and we're going to upload your assignments over there. You can revisit all of those assignments. So each one of you are going to submit 1-minute video, which has to come back by tomorrow. 4, 1 is a random scribble. 3 are the controlled scribbles that you're going to be working. Let's move to the second or the third type of scribble after the random, after the controlled. What is the other kind of scribbles that you're going to be having? It's called the named scribble. When I say named scribble, the child, if a teacher says, okay, children, I'm going to narrate a story to you. Or you can say, draw something. The child might draw something like this. If the teacher says, what is this? The child says, ma'am, this is a cat. They don't know to draw a cat, right? But they're saying this is a cat. When the teacher says, write A, the child might write like this. The child says, I've written A. But actually the letter A looks like this or the letter A looks like that. The child visually knows this is how it is, but the motor ability is not there. This is called named scribble. Whenever the child draws something, the teacher will have to have the symbolic representation. You have to ask them what it is. Or when you say something, the child should be able to draw something. For example, once upon a time, on a bright sunny day, I saw a tiny little cat who had 2 eyes, who had some whiskers. It had a long tail and 2 long ears. He was wearing his hat as it was too bright. He was sitting under the mat. When you're trying to narrate this, you can start drawing something. These are called the named scribbles. When a teacher is trying to say something, the child should be able to scribble. So each one of you can also do one simple exercise. As you narrate, you please record. I could also do a story on that. On a bright sunny day, in the light of the jungle, there were many trees. Some trees were stout, some trees were thin, some trees were tall, and one tree amongst them was cricket. Its branches were cricket, its roots were cricket, the leaves were also cricket. Since he was cricket, every day he felt really sad and he was crying all day. There came a woodcutter one day. He had an axe. He wanted to cut all the trees which were very helpful for him. He took his axe and he cut everything, and all the trees which were happy became sad. Then he goes to the cricket tree and he says, oh, this tree is so crooked. I don't want this tree because he is not very useful to me. Once he says that and he goes back, this crooked tree becomes happy. And he says, instead of sad, he becomes happy. And he says to God, thank you, God, for making me crooked because that saved my life. And then this fellow, he actually packs all this wood and he packs it on a lorry and he takes it to the city. This is how the children would draw when you narrate a story. When a teacher is narrating a story, the child should draw. That is the symbolic representation of what you say. So any drawing that you're going to be teaching to the children, you have to assign meaning to it. It has to resemble objects from the environment. It should resemble to the environment. Okay. The child can't write this is a tree because it is not resembling to it, right? It should at least look like a basic tree. So you can teach them how to draw a tree. You can see a curved bark, and you can start with this. It very much looks like a tree, right? And then slowly you can teach them to draw branches. And slowly you can teach them to add roots, right? This is how slowly you can begin them so that it is resembling something to the environment. Most of the trees would look like this. This is the named scribbling. Clear? The fourth video is going to be on the named scribble. Now we move to the next or the fourth kind of the scribble that is considered to be as your... Okay, sorry. It's a three kinds of scribbles. So we started, just to summarize, we started from here. We got into learning about this. We learned about the types of scribbles. And now you go to the controlled part of it. We saw how lines can be controlling. Now we would see how dots can also be controlling. So you can go wherein you can tell the children to draw as many dots as possible. And you can go with the artwork of given something and the child is going to fill everything over here. This is again one kind of a controlled scribble wherein you would use a technique of dot. The second thing is like on the vertical lines. Third thing is on the horizontal lines. Then the diagonal lines. Then the curved lines. Why curved lines? If you have a pattern to color something like this, you definitely need curved lines to color, right? So you have to go according to this itself. So you will teach them how to work on the curved lines also. See, this is all a part of how a teacher wants to introduce the type of scribbling into the classes. So you can go slow. Then you can go with horizontal, multiple diagonals. And then you will see. Coming back to the other thing, what I want you to notice in any of the scribble, like in case if I have a scribble assignment like this, you have to tell me, I saw multiple horizontal lines. I saw circular patterns. I saw roving open line. Some children would have scribbled like this also. The name of such scribble is called a roving open line. You can't say it is a line. Ma'am, I saw a roving open line. I saw a roving closing line. See, it is ending also. It needs a lot of effort for a child to close that thing also. Some scribbles are like this. It's zigzag, like wave patterns. Some scribbles have got loops. Some scribbles will have multiple loops like this. Go back again here. Do you find multiple loops here? See, can you see here? There are multiple loops. There are open loops, right? So children will definitely use, see, can you see this part of it? See, it's got that multiple scribble, see, here. Correct? So we can actually take up all of that into consideration and you can find out. So that's the reason, go to a toddler, ask them to scribble one page and give it so that you will be able to find out if it had multiple lines, if it had horizontal lines, if it had diagonal lines, or if it had curved lines, or it had roving lines, which was closed or open, or zigzag lines, or single loop, multiple loops, spirals, multiple lines, overlaying circles will be there. But see, some of them, they do only this. These are called circumference circles. Inside it is hollow. Nothing is there. Look at the previous one. Previous one, the children would have completely scribbled this way. These are overlaid circles. These are circumference circles. Now these are circular, but it is spread out. Some are inside, some are out. This is cross circle. These are imperfect circles. They draw tiny, tiny circles and they put those tiny circles everywhere. So that means overall, you can have these many kinds of scribbles in any child's drawing. As a teacher, you should be able to find out, oh, he has loops, he has lines, he has imperfect circles, there are spiral lines, there are overlaid circles, there are multiple line circles. See how many things that you could be able to work out on these particular exercises. Okay, as teachers, what we need to do, if you want to bring out the best in your child and if you want to complete this particular assignment, meet a class where children of 2 years are there. Give materials like crayons, markers, chalk pieces, finger paints, pencils. The child can use paper, the child can use whiteboard or a chalkboard. Let them draw whatever they want. When they have that freedom to move with everything, you will get a good artwork. Collect those samples, keep it for yourself, analyze it. Okay, that's the exercise that we have to work on that. Second thing, what we need to be working, apart from creating a scribble-friendly environment, what we need to do is we have to encourage. As I said earlier, just encourage. Children should know how to do it. You have to praise their effort, not the outcome. Correct? So that's the encouraging part of it. The third, what we do is like you will introduce the types of scribbles gradually and then the modeling of the scribbles. That completes the first part of scribbling. Okay? So ultimately, scribbling is used for formal writing. That's the first exercise. So let's join back for part 2 session very quickly, wherein we're going to learn about another technique of oil pastels. Okay?